When you started with the pills, they're the consumables of the metaverse. Did you have the vision for all the other assets that came on later, the land, the crafts, the vapes, apostles, keys, and I'm sure there's going to be more. But did you have that vision fully fleshed out from the beginning, or was the idea really just focused on pills when the project launched?
Yeah, I think I'll take this question, but initially our focus was on pills as consumables in other games. But at the same time, when we created the pills, we had an idea. We basically knew that at one point we're probably going to have to pivot into creating our own game, given our team is already a team of game devs with experience. So we wanted to keep that flexibility there, and so that's why if you notice in the BYOPills, the pill tops are actually like terrains of games, and we were able to kind of introduce that in Bioland. But initially, it was mostly about consumables. Then we realized after talking to several partners that we were actually very early in the space. So a lot of games were still in the idea phase. They haven't been developing. I think now we're starting to see games starting to be developed, but of course that takes time. So when we noticed that we were still early in the space, we needed to make a quick pivot here and make a change to stay relevant in the space, especially in a very fast-paced space that continually changes probably every week. So that's when we really decided, all right, we have the assets to make this possible, the human resources. Let's go and create our own utility for our own pills as consumables, and that's where BYOVerse came up. And when we started BYOVerse and the idea, that all of a sudden opened up a whole list of possibilities that we could introduce to our ecosystem. And that's where apostles came in, biocrafts, the land itself. So when I think of BYOPills, I really think of it as two verticals. One as BYOPills as consumables that are interoperable with other games, and the second vertical being our own BYOVerse, where all the assets that we've released are provided utility within our own game and MMORPG eventually.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And what other games can they be used in? I mean, right now, I guess that's how many can they be used in right now? And if you had a North Star goal for how many games they be interoperable with, what are you shooting for?
Sure. Right now, I think one of the games you could use them in is Galaxy Fight Club. So you could go into their game, have a BYOPill in your wallet, and you have a consumable that you could use once per round. We're also very close to launching our announced partnership with the Legends of Venari. That's where pills will act as baits to capture exclusive Venaris or creatures in their game. So those are two use cases right now. We also partnered with Shibi Clash. I know they've made some changes, and I've talked to them recently, and it's one of their main focuses is also bringing utility to BYOPills in their game. But yeah, like I said, it's still early. A lot of games are still in development, so it's hard to see that benefit come to fruition right now. But I'd say in a year's time, you're going to see a lot more announcements when it comes to game partnerships and direct utility.
Yeah.
Uh, as for what games we'd like to see them in Norse, I mean, honestly, all the games in the metaverse, any blockchain game, and not just game, but also a social metaverse like Decentraland or Somnium Space, because pills, they also act as visual alterations, right? They could enhance your experience in the metaverse. For example, you're watching a concert, you could all of a sudden enhance that experience by maybe consuming a pill. But in a game world, you could take that, you could get that experience by getting a power up or something. So, in my opinion, any game that is out there that is open to interoperability, we'd love to partner with them. And obviously that includes games like Illuvium, the other side eventually, all big time, and we're actually in talks with them as well. The Red Village, we're in talks with them as well. So, as many as possible would be my short answer.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to
And
talk
like I
about other
said, it's
sides
an
shortly.
open ecosystem. So when the pills have their solid foundation in this world, we have our world. I mean, a lot of people relate to pills. The actual notion of pills. The fact and that they have a solid foundation in the Web3 space, you're gonna have a lot of teams and games integrate them without even communicating with us. And that might like raise the bar for interoperability in general and the actual integration of the pills ecosystem in other worlds.
Totally. Well, let's talk. Let's move on from pills. Let's talk about Metaverse Land. So you have BioLand, but before we jump into that, like, can you give me a high level? Why is Metaverse Land valuable?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And honestly, my answer to that is how valuable is the platform the land is in initially? Because anyone could release, anyone could sell land, but what really is a digital virtual land? It depends on what the platform is. In Decentraland, land over there allows you to create experiences and build and create experiences in their world. In Sandbox, land means that you could build games in their world. But what is the value of that land? It ultimately goes back to how many users are really playing Decentraland, how many users are playing Sandbox. Is it scalable? Is it being adopted? And that's really where the value of land is. And its specific utilities, it depends on the platform. I mentioned 2 examples. We took a kind of a different approach there, but it all goes back to how successful the platform is itself.
You're listening to the Unstoppable Podcast, the go-to place for everyone to learn about the latest innovations in Web3, NFTs, and the decentralized web. Welcome to the Metaverse.